Okay, now that we have our sky cut out of our tree layer, we are ready to move on to our mountains. But before we move on to the mountains, we want to be sure that we lock our field and tree layer so we don't have to worry about accidentally moving or messing that up later. So we're going to select that field and tree and then go ahead and just hit that lock button. Now for the mountains, let's go ahead and click that mountain layer. We're going to go back to our toolbar and we're going to grab our quick selection tool. Again, you can also get there by pressing W. If you don't see your quick selection tool, be sure you click and hold on whatever tool is your fourth one down, and you want to be sure you grab the quick selection tool. It should look like a paintbrush with some lines going around it. Now we're going to do exactly what we did with our field and tree layer, but with our mountains. We're going to click, hold, and drag and select all of our mountains. So I'm going to carefully go around the inside edge of that mountain ridge and select that whole thing. Now I missed a little bit up here. That's okay. I can always go back later and bring that in. And I'm going to slowly select that back edge here. And then once I get in the middle, I can kind of be a little bit more quick with it and select all of that. Now notice how up here I missed a little bit. That's okay. If you miss a little bit too, or if you go and you get a little bit too much, all you need to do is go back and hold Option on your keyboard, and then you can slowly push that line back to that edge there for you. Once we have our whole mountain line selected, let's go ahead and click our our layer mask button down here. So we'll click our layer mask, and then suddenly we can see this whole background of our sky. So now it's just time to go through and clean up this mountain ridge. I might need to move some of these layers around to maybe have it look a little more realistic, but for the most part, we are getting it. You want to be sure that you zoom in and that you are just taking a look at your edges here. I need to clean some of these mountain lines up, so I'm just going to use my brush tool. So hit B on my keyboard. Now, I noticed that some of these look a little fuzzy on my edge. So what I'm going to do is just hold my, hit X and grab my white. And so that way I can go back in and then paint some of my mountain ridge back in. So then that way I have a nice realistic looking mountain ridge. Now, this might take you the whole bell. That's okay. We want these to look as realistic as possible. Feel free to, once you've made your layer mask, to unlock some of these and see what happens when you just start to move some of your layers around with your move tool. So if I hit V on my keyboard or select my move tool, I can go back and I can raise these mountains up more. I could lower them. Play around with kind of where this mountain ridge lines up to see if you can make it look as realistic as possible. Just be sure you don't raise it too high so then you don't end up seeing the bottom layer here. You want to be sure that you have this all still taking up the full screen, and that way you don't have to worry about having a really fake phony part. If you need, feel free to make this bigger so you don't have to worry so much about that mountain looking too fake or coming off of the page. Once you have gotten this to look as realistic as possible, we're just going to save and submit. Be sure you save as a JPEG and as a PSD file. Once you save both of those, go ahead and just submit the JPEG. I'm sorry, not the PSD, the JPEG.